Welcome to the Deep Dive. We take the sources you're curious about, cut through the noise, and really try to give you that blueprint for, well, actionable knowledge.
That's the goal.
And our mission today is pretty focused. It's all about metabolic transformation.
Sure.
We're looking at the 14-day no sugar, no processed food reset, how you can, reclaim some vitality. And we're framing this not as just another diet, definitely not a cleanse, but more like a strategic plan.
Yeah.
It's based on evidence, all aimed at optimizing metabolic health.
Yeah.
Setting you up well for 2026, really.
Absolutely. And the sources we're digging into today are, frankly, compelling. We've got a mix of clinical trials, reviews, some real-world results, too. They really connect our physiology to these bigger consumer trends we're seeing.
Right.
We're trying to move past the guesswork, the fads, and focus on the physiological shift that genuinely happen within those 2 weeks. Guaranteed shifts.
Exactly. And the context here, the reasons it's so urgent, well, it couldn't be clearer. Ultra-processed foods, UPFs. They make up, over 60% of the average American diet now.
Astonishing, isn't it?
It really is. And when you hear that number, it's suddenly not surprising why so many people talk about constant brain fog or skin problems or those just relentless sugar cravings that are so hard to kick.
Yeah, that's 60%. It's more than just a statistic. It's essentially a recipe for widespread chronic low-grade inflammation. And metabolic disruption, of course.
Because our bodies just aren't built for it.
Pretty much. They're not equipped to handle food that's been, chemically engineered for profit, for shelf life, stripped of fiber, packed with additives. It's just not what we evolved to eat.
But okay, the good news, right?
Yeah.
We don't need a year of feeling deprived to start fixing this.
Yeah.
We're focusing on just 14 days, which honestly sounds almost too fast sometimes. Is that just placebo effect? Or is there solid science behind why the body can kind of hit reset so quickly? What's the mechanism for that 14-day sweet spot?
Well, the mechanism is adaptability, and it happens fast. Our sources really back this up. 14 days is like precisely enough time for several key things to happen at once. First, it's long enough to actually break that addictive cycle, to downregulate the specific reward receptors in your brain that are screaming for sugar.
Right.
Second, it's long enough to genuinely feel the positive physiological changes. Stable blood sugar, less inflammation. You feel that before the 2 weeks are up.
Ah, so you get positive feedback before you burn out?
Exactly. It prevents that mental burnout that kills so many longer, really restrictive programs. You get rapid, clinically observable results, and those act as huge psychological motivators for making it stick long term.
That makes perfect sense. It's like achieving escape velocity from that craving cycle. Okay, so we really invite you, our listener, to join us as we dive deep into this blueprint, learn how to actually implement these changes effectively.
Yeah.
We love digging into these kinds of findings, especially when you can connect them to practical life. We share insights like this every week. So if you appreciate getting complex science and trends broken down into clear, actionable knowledge, please take a moment right now and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us keep bringing you this kind of curated knowledge. Okay, let's get into it. Let's arm you with everything you need to succeed in this reset.
Let's do it. So to really grasp the power of this 14-day reset, we kind of have to look at the bigger picture first. The macro environment, the why now.
Right.
We're really living through a massive shift in what consumers want. People are, I think, waking up to the true cost of all that convenience.
Yeah, you see that quick fix diets feel dated now.
They really do. Transparency, knowing the source, nutrient density those are in, definitely in.
That's fascinating. And your sources connect this 14-day challenge directly to these big 2026 trends, right? Across the whole food system.
Exactly.
Places like Whole Foods Market, other trend predictors. They're saying consumers just aren't tolerating opaque food labels anymore. So what specifically are people demanding now, ingredient-wise?
Well, we're seeing a big shift towards what they're calling thoughtfully sweet options.
Thoughtfully sweet. Okay.
Yeah, it means using natural sweetness, but in moderation, often pairing it with fiber to, lessen the blood sugar hit. And there's a huge focus on gut-friendly innovation.
Oh, the microbiome again.
Always.
Right.
Recognizing the gut as just central to total health. Consumers want functional food now, not just empty filler calories.
Okay, let's unpack those trends a bit more. Because they show this 14-day thing isn't happening in a vacuum, right? It's part of something bigger.
Yeah.
You mentioned the tallow takeover. What's driving the comeback of animal fats like tallow? It sounds old school.
It is, in a way. The tallow takeover is a really direct, sharp reaction against the widespread disillusionment with industrial seed oils.
Like canola, soybean oil.
Exactly. Corn oil, those are often super refined, chemically extracted, and really high in potentially inflammatory omega-6 fats. People are getting wary.
So tallow is seen as cleaner.
Cleaner and simpler. Tallow, which is just rendered beef, or sometimes sheep fat, it appeals because it's minimally processed, often just gently heated and strained. That's it.
Huh.
It fits right into that clean eating idea by giving you stable saturated fats and those important fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E, K. It's kind of an embrace of ancestral eating patterns, Purity.
So for someone doing the reset, this means swapping out those processed vegetable oils.
Yes. Swap them for rendered fats like tallow or ghee, or minimally processed options like good quality olive oil, coconut oil, avocado oil.
Okay. So a move towards nutrient density, purity,
Yeah.
not just calorie counting. And then there's the fiber spotlight. That seems overdue.
Totally overdue. Fiber's finally getting recognized as a vital nutrient, not just, roughage. We're seeing a big emphasis on upcycled fiber sources and whole plant sources to actively feed the gut.
Upcycled fiber, what's that exactly?
It means using parts of food production that would normally just get thrown away, like fruit peels or the pulp left over from juicing vegetables, and incorporating those back into meals or ingredients.
Interesting.
Very. And it ties perfectly into the reset plan because when you eat whole, unprocessed foods, you naturally flood your system with all this crucial fiber. You're feeding those good gut bacteria we keep talking about.
Got it. And what about this year of the female farmer trend? How does that connect to someone trying to cut out processed foods?
Well, that trend is really all about traceability, transparency, and sustainable local sourcing. Female farmers are often leading the charge in innovative, small-scale, regenerative agriculture.
So it encourages knowing where your food comes from.
Exactly. For the listener, it reinforces the need to know your source, which usually means shopping the perimeter of the grocery store, hitting up farmers markets if you can. When you buy produce directly, you're inherently cutting way back on your reliance on those big packaged goods companies, the main source of UPFs.
Right. It all points away from those center aisles filled with boxes and bags. But here's the big caveat. Modern life is hectic. People need convenience. If we ditch processed foods, how do we manage busy schedules? That's a real hurdle.
It is, but even convenience is getting an upgrade. The sources talk about upgraded convenience. Premium, minimally processed, ready-to-eat options are emerging.
Okay, so it's not no convenience, just better convenience.
Precisely. You don't have to sacrifice your busy lifestyle entirely to eat clean. You just have to choose the right convenient options. We sometimes call this freezer fine dining.
Freezer fine dining, I like that.
Yeah. It's about leveraging things like flash frozen berries, frozen fish fillets or chicken breasts, pre-chopped frozen vegetables. They're often frozen right at peak freshness, usually with zero additives. Perfect for pulling together a quick, clean meal.
Smart. Okay, so this strategic shift towards cleaner eating is vital because, as we said, the danger of sticking with the status quo is pretty profound. Let's dive into the specific risks of added sugars and those UPFs.
Okay, let's start with added sugars in the brain. There's a major narrative review in the journal Nutrients that's quite stark. Chronic excessive sugar intake doesn't just impact your weight, it significantly impairs memory, mood, and overall cognitive function.
Really, it actually damages cognitive function.
Yes, it literally dampens the function of the hippocampus. That's the brain's memory center.
Wow. So those afternoon energy crashes, the brain fog, it's not just feeling tired, it's a temporary hit to your cognitive ability.
Yeah.
Why does sugar affect cognition so directly?
Well, it comes down to inflammation and instability. The brain is incredibly sensitive to blood sugar swings. When you spike your blood sugar with, say, a sugary drink or snack, your brain kind of goes into overdrive for a bit.
Right, the sugar rush.
Exactly. But then the crash inevitably comes. Your brain scrambles for fuel, and that leads directly to mental sluggishness, irritability, poor focus. This roller coaster fuels a really vicious, self-perpetuating cycle of dependency.
Making it hard to break free just using willpower.
Incredibly hard. You're essentially fighting a chemical battle in your brain, not just a test of character or morality.
Okay, and then shifting to ultra-processed foods specifically, the data there is even more alarming, especially regarding our metabolism.
Absolutely. Recent studies, including some really important ones from the NIH and Nature Medicine just last year, paint a pretty dire picture. They directly link UPFs to heart disease, faster weight regain after dieting.
Oh, that's brutal.
Isn't it? Plus obesity and worsening mental health issues. Crucially, these studies show UPFs disrupt metabolic health even in controlled settings where calories and macros are matched. Research out of Yale also strongly connects them to type 2 diabetes risk and, again, exacerbating mental health problems.
So avoiding them for just 14 days, it's not just about maybe losing a few pounds. It's a critical step in pushing back against these really complex, long-term systemic health risks.
That's exactly right. It's preventative medicine in a way.
Okay, let's really unpack the science behind why this works so fast. Why does cutting out just these two categories, added sugars and UPFs, yield such rapid results? It seems to boil down to the body's incredible adaptability over that 2-week period.
It really does. And it starts by neutralizing what we call the sugar trap. Specifically, the really toxic effects of fructose, especially the kind found in added sugars like high fructose corn syrup.
Right. Fructose is different from glucose, isn't it?
Very different in how the body handles it.
Yeah.
When you consume glucose, like from starches or even table sugar, which is half glucose, basically every cell in your body can use it for energy.
Okay.
But when you consume fructose, particularly in large amounts quickly, it goes almost exclusively to your liver. The liver gets slammed with it and has to process it immediately. If there's too much, too fast, which is exactly what happens with sugary drinks and many UPFs, the liver's only option is to convert that excess fructose into fat.
Directly into fat in the liver.
Yes. And over time, this process leads directly to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, NAFLD, which is practically an epidemic now in developed countries.
So the liver isn't just storing extra calories as fat, it's specifically generating new fat from fructose it can't handle. So the 14-day no-sugar plan essentially gives the liver a break.
An immediate and much-needed break. Precisely. You take that massive burden off the hepatic system, allowing it to start detoxifying and clearing out some of that fat.
And that has knock-on effects.
Huge ones. This forces a rapid recalibration of your insulin sensitivity. When your cells aren't being constantly bombarded by sugar, they become more responsive, more sensitive to insulin again.
Which means
your blood sugar stabilizes much more easily. And that stabilization immediately curbs those intense, roller coaster, glucose-driven cravings. It breaks the cycle physiologically.
Okay. Now let's talk about that really shocking finding from the sources, the big NIH landmark study. This is the one that just blows up the old a calorie is just a calorie argument, right?
It's a total game changer, absolutely.
Why is that 500-calorie daily difference so hard to wrap your head around? And what did the research actually pinpoint as the reason for that massive overconsumption?
It wasn't conscious, right?
Right.
Not at all conscious. That study was brilliant. They took participants, gave them 2 weeks on an ultra-processed diet and 2 weeks on an unprocessed whole foods diet. Critically, they matched the macronutrients. The protein, fat, carbs, sugar, fiber were theoretically identical between the two diets.
Okay, so same building blocks on paper.
Exactly. Yet on the UPF diet, participants naturally, spontaneously consumed 500 more calories every single day without realizing it. And they gained weight as a result. On the unprocessed diet, they spontaneously ate less and lost weight.
500 calories, that's like a whole extra meal. What was the mechanism then, if not willpower?
It was the food engineering itself. It's multifactorial.
Yeah.
First, UPFs are designed for hyperpalatability. They have these optimized ratios of salt, sugar, fat, plus flavor enhancers that just overwhelm the brain's natural satiety and reward centers. They're designed to be hard to stop eating.
Makes sense.
Second, they lack density and fiber. The study noted UPFs are often physically softer, requiring significantly less chewing, less oral processing time.
So you eat them faster.
Much faster. And the speed at which you eat actually short-circuits your body's satiety signals. Your stomach might be full, but your brain hasn't gotten the message yet because you ate so quickly.
Right.
And third, because UPFs are often nutrient poor despite being calorie dense, your body might still be signaling hunger because it hasn't received the actual vitamins, minerals, and phytonutrients it needs. It's looking for nutrition, not just calories.
So the net effect is you just naturally eat less when you switch to whole foods.
Exactly. The studies show about a 10 to 15% spontaneous drop in daily calorie intake just by making that switch. It leads to almost effortless weight loss initially because you're removing the chemical compulsion to overeat.
It's like turning off a switch.
Sure.
Okay, let's break down the short-term timeline for people considering this. Understanding the phases really helps manage expectations and stay committed, right?
Absolutely critical. The first hurdle, no sugarcoating it, is the withdrawal phase, days 1 through 3.
The tough bit.
It is, and it's vital to normalize this. Expect symptoms like headaches, maybe irritability, definitely fatigue. Your body is adjusting to stable fuel instead of those constant sugar spikes and crashes.
And research shows when it peaks.
Yeah, the data confirms it tends to peak right around the 48-hour mark. The intensity curve looks remarkably similar to caffeine withdrawal, actually, or even nicotine withdrawal.
Wow.
Because your brain's dopamine and opioid receptors are essentially missing their usual quick fix from the sugar. But, and this is crucial, the research also shows these symptoms almost always subside entirely by day 4 as your blood sugar finally stabilizes.
Okay, so push through those first 72 hours. Then what happens? You cross that hump and start feeling the benefits. That brings us to the energy surge phase, days 4 through 7.
This is where the payoff really begins. Your cellular powerhouses, the mitochondria, they start to thrive. They love the steady, sustainable glucose they get from whole foods, rather than being constantly jolted by sugar spikes and then crashing.
So your cells literally work better.
They do. Cellular energy management improves dramatically. Our sources indicate you can expect a really noticeable, significant 20 to 30% improvement in mental focus and sustained physical energy during this phase. Your brain gets clear, consistent fuel, maybe for the first time in a long time.
Nice. Okay, and then by days 8 through 14, you hit the systemic reset. This is where we see major, measurable clinical changes happening inside the body.
Yes, this is where the internal markers shift rapidly. Inflammation markers, specifically C-reactive protein or CRP, which is a major predictor of heart disease risk, start to drop significantly, potentially by as much as 25% in just the second week.
25% reduction in a key inflammation marker in a week. That's fast.
It's incredibly fast. Furthermore, you see the cessation or at least a dramatic reduction of glycation.
Glycation. Okay, that sounds very clinical. Can you break down what that actually is and why stopping it matters, especially for something visible like maybe our skin?
Sure. Glycation is basically sugar molecules sticking to protein molecules throughout your body. Think of it like sugar making things sticky and brittle internally.
Right.
When sugar bonds with proteins like collagen and elastin, which are crucial for your skin structure and elasticity, it forms these harmful compounds called advanced glycation end products, or AGEs.
AGs, got it.
This process literally stiffens tissues. It makes collagen less flexible, contributing to wrinkles and sagging skin. When you halt that massive influx of excess sugar by doing this reset, you immediately slow down the formation of new AGs.
Ah, so that's why people report their skin looks better.
Exactly. It's one of the most common pieces of feedback. Participants often report a noticeable improvement in skin clarity, texture, maybe even a reduction in fine lines by the end of that second week. It's like an internal anti-aging treatment kicking in.
That's a great motivator. And we have that real-world example you mentioned earlier, Sarah, the 35-year-old teacher. Her results were quick.
Phenomenal results. She did a similar challenge, and in just 2 weeks, her HbA1c, that's the key marker for average blood sugar over 3 months, dropped from 5.8% down to 5.4%.
Which is clinically significant, right? Moving away from prediabetes territory.
Hugely significant. That's a massive improvement in underlying metabolic health in just 14 days. And beyond her specific case, broader research confirms that for every 1% reduction in free sugars in the diet, there's an associated average reduction of about 14 calories in total energy intake. Automatically, which leads directly to measurable fat loss, simply because you've removed that chemically addictive, hyperpalatable component driving overconsumption.
Okay, let's pivot to the other half of this challenge, cutting out the ultra-processed foods. You mentioned their impact on the second brain, the gut.
Right. UPFs contain what I call silent saboteurs. Beyond just the refined starches and added sugars, they're often packed with ingredients like emulsifiers,
So like
carrageenan, polysorbate 80, carboxymethylcellulose,
Yeah.
things you see on ingredient lists all the time. And also artificial flavors. These chemicals can actively disrupt your gut microbiome.
Oh.
They can potentially damage the delicate mucosal lining of your intestines. This can lead to increased intestinal permeability, sometimes called leaky gut, and chronic low-grade inflammation right there at the gut lining.
And since the gut produces something like 90% of our serotonin,
Yeah.
that disruption must have pretty immediate effects on mood and mental well-being, right?
Absolutely. It's a direct link. When that gut barrier is compromised, it messes with the complex communication happening along the gut-brain axis.
Okay.
But the win here from avoiding UPFs is also immediate. One review we looked at links avoiding UPFs to as much as a 15% gain in microbiome diversity in just 10 days.
15% increase in diversity in 10 days. That's impressive.
It really is. This allows your beneficial bacteria, the good guys, to flourish. And they start producing more of those crucial short-chain fatty acids, or SCFAs, like butyrate.
And SCFAs are important because
They're vital. They literally nourish the cells lining your colon. They help strengthen that gut barrier, reduce inflammation locally, and some, like butyrate, can even cross the blood-brain barrier to positively influence mood and potentially reduce anxiety systemically.
So the feeling of reduced anxiety that people report, it's not just in their head. It's actually chemical originating in the gut.
It appears to be significantly chemical, yes. Participants in various sugar and UPF detox protocols consistently report not just weight loss, typically around 3 to 5 pounds in 2 weeks, much of it inflammatory water weight initially, but also a really significant number, around 70%, report feeling noticeably less anxious.
Wow.
It truly underscores that this challenge isn't just about physical health or fitting into clothes. It's fundamentally about achieving a better baseline of mental stability by feeding your body, and therefore your brain, correctly.
Okay, this is all incredibly motivating. Let's get practical now. Section 3. Preparing for success, getting started is all about the prep work, right? You wouldn't run a marathon without training.
Or the right shoes, exactly. And you shouldn't dive into this reset without stocking your kitchen properly first. Good preparation basically eradicates the opportunity for failure when those withdrawal cravings inevitably hit hardest, probably on day 2 or 3.
So what's the golden rule for grocery shopping here?
It's simple, but so often overlooked. Shop the perimeter aisles of the supermarket. That's where the whole real food usually lives. Focus intensely on whole, single ingredient foods.
And the reverse is true for the center aisles.
Generally, yes. If something comes in a box or a bag with a long, complicated ingredient list, just put it back. Be especially wary if it has a splashy health claim on the front. Always flip it over and read the actual ingredients in the nutrition panel on the back. If it lists added sugar in any form, avoid it completely for these 14 days.
Okay, let's get specific. What should be on the listener's shopping list? Key categories.
Right. Your kitchen needs to be stocked with high-quality proteins. Think eggs, wild-caught salmon, frozen is great. Organic chicken or turkey if you eat meat, lentils, chickpeas, black beans, and plain unsweetened Greek yogurt or skyr. No flavored yogurts.
Got it. Fats.
Healthy fats are crucial for satiety. Minimal processed oils like extra virgin olive oil, coconut oil, avocado oil, whole food fats like avocados, nuts, almonds, walnuts, and seeds, chia, flax, hemp, pumpkin.
Grains, if any.
Yes, but they must be whole grains, rolled oats, not instant, brown rice, quinoa, maybe buckwheat. Avoid anything instant or pre-seasoned, as those often have hidden sugars or additives.
And produce. Load up.
Absolutely. Go wild in the produce section.
Amazing.
Leafy greens galore, spinach, kale, romaine. Cruciferous veggies like broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts. Root vegetables like sweet potatoes, carrots. And lower glycemic fruits are best for these 2 weeks. Berries, fresh or frozen, apples, pears.
Okay. You mentioned something crucial earlier for gut health, fermented foods.
Yes. Don't forget these. They are key for supporting that microbiome shift. Look for true sauerkraut, the kind in the refrigerated section that lists only cabbage and salt. Kimchi, check for no added sugar. Maybe some plain kefir or kombucha. Again, check labels carefully for sugar content. And raw, unfiltered apple cider vinegar with the mother. These provide vital probiotics.
And this is where that freezer fine dining concept comes in handy too.
Exactly. Stocking up on those flash frozen berries, fish fillets, chicken breasts, and pre-cut veggies ensures you always have the building blocks for a quick, clean meal on hand without any compromise on quality or added junk.
Okay, kitchen stocked. Now, beyond the food, mindset mastery. This is often where people stumble, right? That internal battle.
Huge factor. And the key thing to remember is cravings, especially in the first few days, are primarily chemical, not a sign of moral failure or weak willpower.
Right. You said the sources compare quitting sugar to quitting nicotine?
They do. And that should tell you how intense those initial 72 hours can feel. It's a real physiological process happening in your brain and body, so you need active, conscious strategies to manage it.
Like what?
Well, one simple but surprisingly powerful tool is journaling. Just taking a few minutes each day. Use prompts that force you to reflect positively on your choices and feelings. Things like, what nourished me today, physically and mentally? Or, what emotion was I feeling when I had that craving for X?
So building self-awareness around eating patterns.
Exactly. And also tracking your small wins. Noting down, felt more energetic this afternoon or resisted the office donuts actually gives you a little natural dopamine boost and helps you recognize non-hunger trends for eating, like stress or boredom.
Makes sense.
And accountability, having someone else involved. Hugely helpful for many people. Find a buddy to do the challenge with, or join an online community or forum focused on clean eating or sugar detox. Shared commitment provides really powerful motivation and support, especially on tough days.
Like sharing war stories.
Yeah. We saw that example of a writer who publicly detailed their 14-day sugar-free diary online. They shared not just the fat loss, but also clear gains in muscle definition and better sleep. Sharing those kinds of tangible results helps reinforce that the initial discomfort is absolutely worth the significant gains on the other side.
Okay. And let's not forget the simple, almost obvious thing that dramatically helps manage withdrawal. The hydration hack.
Yes, cannot emphasize this enough. Aim for roughly 3 liters, that's about 100 ounces of filtered water spread throughout the day. This simple step is absolutely vital during the reset.
Why so critical?
Several reasons. Hydration helps your kidneys and liver flush out metabolic byproducts and toxins released as your body adjusts. It supports overall digestion. And crucially, thirst signals can often be mistaken for mild hunger signals. Staying well hydrated can prevent unnecessary snacking driven by thirst, not true hunger.
And it helps with the withdrawal symptoms themselves.
Directly. Good hydration is consistently correlated with reducing the intensity of those withdrawal headaches and fatigue, sometimes by as much as 30%. So keep that water bottle handy at all times.
Good tip. And to tie into that broader 2026 trend of holistic wellness, what about mindfulness? How did that fit in?
Integrating even brief moments of mindfulness around eating can be transformative. Just taking, say, 5 deep breaths or meditating for a couple of minutes right before a meal can help you shift into your parasympathetic rest and digest state.
Calming down before eating.
Yes. And it encourages you to slow down, put your fork down between bites, and truly savor the rich, complex flavors of real whole food. This focus on the sensory experience, rather than just wolfing food down, naturally helps reduce overeating. It's a direct countermeasure to the engineered hyperpalatability of UPFs that encourages mindless consumption.
Right. Okay, finally in this prep section, let's tackle the common pitfalls head on. Because knowing they might happen allows you to plan a pivot. The biggest one seems to be hidden sugars.
It's definitely the sneakiest. You absolutely must become a vigilant label reader for these 14 days, and honestly beyond. Sugar hides everywhere, under dozens of different names.
Like dextrose, maltodextrin.
Corn syrup solids, barley malt, evaporated cane juice, fruit juice concentrate. The list goes on and on. Even foods you perceive as healthy can be total sugar bombs.
Examples.
Ketchup is a classic, often has a teaspoon of sugar per tablespoon. Salad dressings, marinades, pasta sauces are notorious. Many breads, even whole wheat ones, contain added sugar. And yogurt. A seemingly innocent fruit on the bottom yogurt can easily pack 20 grams or more of added sugar. That's like eating a candy bar.
Wow. So the fix is just read everything and make your own.
Pretty much. For these 2 wins, your best bet is to make your own clean swaps whenever possible. Plain yogurt with fresh berries and maybe a sprinkle of cinnamon instead of flavored yogurt. Homemade salad dressing using olive oil, vinegar, herbs. It takes a few extra minutes, but guarantees no hidden sugars.
Okay. Pitfall number 2. Boredom. Eating clean can feel repetitive if you're not careful.
Absolutely. 2 weeks straight of plain grilled chicken and steamed broccoli is a recipe for dropout for most people. You have to consciously rotate your recipes and embrace variety. Explore different cuisines. Many global cuisines, think Mediterranean, Thai, Indian, naturally rely heavily on herbs, spices, and fermentation for intense flavor, not sugar and additives. Variety prevents that diet fatigue. Don't be afraid to try new vegetables or clean protein sources. Maybe try hearts of palm noodles or jicama sticks with guacamole, or experiment with different types of lentils or beans. Keep it interesting.
Good advice. And the third big one, social eating. Navigating restaurants or parties.
This is inevitable, right? Life happens. The key is having a strategy beforehand. If you're dining out, scan the menu for the simplest preparations. Look for grilled, baked, or steamed proteins: fish, chicken, steak. Ask for sauces and dressings on the side. Opt for plain steamed or roasted vegetables, or a simple side salad with just oil and vinegar.
And how do you explain it to people without sounding difficult or judgmental?
Be transparent, but brief and positive. You can simply say something like, I'm doing a 14-day health reset right now, focusing on whole foods, so I'll go with the grilled salmon and veggies, thanks. Framing it as a personal health reset rather than a restrictive diet usually sidesteps any awkwardness or judgment. Most people are supportive, or at least neutral.
Right. It sounds like the core of succeeding here is shifting the act of eating from something passive and convenience-driven into an active, conscious choice, at least for these 2 weeks.
That's a perfect way to put it. It's about intentionality.
Okay, let's get into the nitty-gritty. Section 4, the daily blueprint, how this actually looks day to day. You said the plan focuses on roughly 1,500 to 2,000 calories per day.
That's the typical range, yes. And it's structured around simple recipes, aiming for a maximum of 30 minutes prep time for most meals. We're weaving the science and those 2026 trends directly into the daily structure.
Great. So we'll walk through the first 4 days in a bit more detail since those seem crucial for setting habits and getting through withdrawal. Then we can outline the themes for the rest of the journey. Sounds good.
All right, day 1, launch gentle detox. Goal here is easing in, focusing on fiber-rich, hydrating foods, and loading up on antioxidants to combat the initial stress of dietary change.
Exactly. So breakfast is key for setting the tone. A great option is the berry avocado smoothie. Really simple. Handful of spinach, about half an avocado for healthy fat and creaminess, a cup of mixed frozen berries, antioxidant powerhouses, unsweetened almond or coconut milk, maybe a tablespoon of chia seeds for fiber and omega-3s.
Nice and nutrient-dense. Lunch.
Keep it simple and fiber-focused. Maybe quinoa veggie bowl. Cooked quinoa as the base, topped with some grilled zucchini, cherry tomatoes, chickpeas for protein, maybe some cucumber. Tossed with a simple lemon tahini dressing. Tahini is great for clean fats and minerals.
Okay, and dinner. Something substantial but clean. Dinner is critical on day 1. Baked salmon with a big kale salad. That wild-caught salmon delivers a major dose of omega-3 fatty acids. Research shows these can start reducing systemic inflammation markers by up to 20% in just the first week. Plus, they help lower triglycerides. It gives your cardiovascular system an immediate boost. The kale salad adds more fiber and micronutrients.
Got it. Any specific insights or warnings for day 1?
Yeah, the day 1 insight. Expect that potential mild headache later in the day as your body adjusts. Combat it proactively with lots of water, maybe some herbal tea like peppermint or ginger. And remember Mike, the software engineer from the sources?
Yeah, the one who was surprised.
Right. He reported surprising fullness on day 1. He was worried he'd be starving without his usual late-night processed snacks, but the sheer density and fiber from the whole foods, the quinoa, the chickpeas, the salmon, kept him genuinely satisfied. This aligns perfectly with that natural, spontaneous calorie drop we see in the NIH-style studies when people switch to whole foods.
Okay, good to know. On to day 2. Building momentum, focus on proteins and stable energy. The goal now is stabilizing blood sugar, preventing those energy crashes that can follow the initial day 1 adjustment.
Exactly. We want sustained energy. So breakfast could be a simple, high-protein Greek yogurt parfait. Make sure it's plain, unsweetened Greek yogurt or skyr. Layer it with maybe half a cup of blueberries and a small handful of walnuts or almonds. The protein and fat combo really helps mitigate the glycemic impact of the fruit and keeps you full longer.
Makes sense. Lunch.
Let's go with lentil soup. Lentils are amazing. They're a triple threat. Super high in protein, packed with fiber, and incredibly inexpensive. Truly a plant-based powerhouse. Eating lentils significantly boosts the production of those beneficial short-chain fatty acids in your gut, which, as we discussed, directly contributes to that mood lift and feelings of satiety.
Right, feeding to the good gut bugs.
Yeah. Maybe a simple turkey stir-fry. Ground turkey or sliced chicken breast stir-fried with lots of colorful veggies like broccoli, bell peppers, maybe some ginger and garlic. Serve it over a modest portion of brown rice. This consistent, dense protein intake throughout the day is vital.
And this connects to future trends.
Directly. It ties right into that 2026 trend towards GLP-1 friendly meals. GLP-1 is a hormone that promotes satiety. Emphasizing these slow-digesting, protein and fiber-packed options naturally helps manage appetite and sustain energy levels well into the evening, reducing the urge for late-night snacking.
Smart. Okay, day 3. Hydration Hero Veggie Forward and Electrolytes. Now we're loading up on water-rich foods, making sure electrolytes are balanced to help the detox process and maybe even see some skin benefits.
Precisely. Keep flushing the system and supporting cellular function. Breakfast could be overnight oats made with rolled oats, chia seeds, and water, or unsweetened almond milk, soaked overnight in the fridge. Soaked oats are often easier to digest, and the chia and flax seeds provide soluble fiber, which really helps keep things moving smoothly through the digestive tract, aiding toxin removal.
Good tip. Lunch? Something lighter?
Yeah, maybe zucchini noodles with a clean pesto sauce and some grilled shrimp. The zoodles give you that pasta feel with excellent fiber and hydration, but without the refined carb load. A good pesto made with olive oil, basil, pine nuts, and garlic provides great healthy fats. The shrimp adds lean protein.
Sounds delicious. Dinner?
Maybe classic roasted chicken with asparagus and a small roasted sweet potato. Simple, clean, satisfying. The key insight for day 3 is remembering that enhanced hydration really does reduce those lingering withdrawal symptoms, potentially by that 30% figure we mentioned.
And you had an example for this.
Yeah, Lisa, a participant in one of the source studies. She reported losing about 2 pounds, likely mostly water weight, due to reduced inflammation, and feeling a significant boost in mental clarity by the end of day 3. She credited the high water content from all the vegetables she was eating.
Okay, visible results helping motivation. Day 4. Day 4. Flavor explosion herbs and spices. The goal here is to really prove that healthy, clean food can be incredibly flavorful and satisfying without relying on salt, sugar, or manufactured additives. We're using natural anti-inflammatory ingredients for taste.
Yes, time to unleash the power of the spice rack. Breakfast could be a colorful veggie omelet loaded with spinach, mushrooms, onions, maybe bell peppers, and crucially add a good dash of turmeric. Turmeric contains curcumin, a potent anti-inflammatory compound.
Lunch. Keep it simple.
Maybe a simple chickpea salad. Mashed chickpeas mixed with a little olive oil, lemon juice, finely chopped red onions, celery, and lots of fresh herbs like parsley or oregano. Eat it with lettuce cups or cucumber slices.
Nice. Dinner. Something warming.
How about a tofu or chicken curry made with cauliflower rice? Use full-fat, unsweetened coconut milk as the base for the curry sauce and load it up with powerful spices like ginger, garlic, cumin, coriander, and definitely more turmeric. The cauliflower rice keeps it low-carb but satisfying.
And the science backs up the spice use.
Absolutely. Spices like turmeric are clinically shown to help lower that key inflammation marker, C-reactive protein, sometimes by as much as 22% with consistent use. This flavor-forward strategy also connects directly to that 2026 trend of using vinegars and fermentation for flavor complexity. It demonstrates you can achieve deep, rich, satisfying tastes without needing sugar or excessive salt. You're training your palate.
Okay, that covers the critical first 4 days in detail. Now, let's briefly touch on the philosophy for the rest of the journey. We can't map out every meal, but what's the strategic thinking for days 5 through 14? It shouldn't be random, right?
Definitely not random. The remaining 10 days are best structured around specific thematic focuses. This helps maximize the benefits of the reset and really solidify those new habits.
Okay, so days 5-7, you're calling gut repair focus. What's the emphasis here?
This time frame, days 5 to 7, is often peak time for seeing shifts in microbiome diversity based on the dietary changes. So we double down on supporting the gut. We consciously maximize fermented foods, maybe introduce kimchi if you like it, have a larger serving of sauerkraut with a meal. Ensure you're getting prebiotic foods daily.
Prebiotics B.
Foods that feed your good bacteria. Things like garlic, onions, leeks, asparagus, slightly underripe bananas. The goal is to flood your system with beneficial bacteria and the fuel they need to thrive and produce those crucial SCFAs. This helps lock in the mood improvements and energy stability you started feeling in the first phase.
Got it. Then days 8-10 are labeled high-fat satiety focus. I guess this is to make sure people stay full as their body fully adapts.
Exactly. As your body becomes more efficient at using fat for fuel, we lean into healthy fats a bit more to ensure satiety remains high and prevent any lingering hunger or cravings. So maybe slightly more avocado, a few more nuts or seeds with meals, perhaps using tallow or ghee for cooking more often.
And this helps with?
This helps solidify metabolic flexibility, the body's ability to efficiently switch between burning carbs and burning fat for fuel. That's essential for long-term sustained energy and weight management. This is also where that improved insulin sensitivity from cutting sugar really pays dividends.
Okay. And the final stretch, days 11-14, is the performance and endurance focus. Things should be feeling pretty good by now.
They really should. Energy levels are typically much more stable, cravings are minimal or gone. So the focus shifts slightly towards maximizing physical and mental performance with this clean fuel.
Wow.
We might strategically increase clean, complex carbohydrates slightly, things like sweet potatoes, quinoa, brown rice, maybe timing them around exercise sessions if you're active. This demonstrates that this way of eating isn't about long-term restriction, but about optimal fueling for life. Day 14 is also crucial for planning the transition out of the strict reset phase.
Right, not just going back to old habits.
Definitely not. It's about thoughtfully deciding which foods, if any, might be worth carefully reintroducing back into your regular routine moving forward into 2026, and which ones you've realized you feel much better without. It's about conscious choices based on how you feel.
Okay, that blueprint makes a lot of sense. But people have different needs. Section 5. Customization and sustaining the glow. We need to make sure this can work for everyone. Troubleshooting is key.
Absolutely. Let's start with dietary preferences. If you're vegan or vegetarian, is this blueprint still doable?
Completely doable, yes. Provided you're careful to avoid processed vegan meat substitutes or cheeses, as those can often be surprisingly high in sodium, sugar, and those emulsifiers we talked about.
Right, so focus on whole plant foods.
Exactly. Tempeh, tofu, lentils, beans, edamame, these are all excellent clean protein swaps for things like salmon or chicken. The sources confirm that a well-planned, whole food, plant-based approach achieves very similar metabolic and weight management benefits, and it's obviously fantastic for the microbiome due to all the inherent fiber. So swapping is straightforward.
Pretty straightforward. For example, that day one baked salmon could easily become baked tempeh, marinated in a clean miso paste, ginger, and garlic. The protein goals are easily met with plant sources.
Okay. What about families doing this with kids around?
That requires some smart tweaks, but it's definitely possible and beneficial for everyone. You can scale the recipes up, get the kids involved in prepping the veggies. They're often more likely to eat things they helped make.
And snacks. Kids need snacks.
Right. Instead of the usual processed crackers or sugary yogurts, introduce cleaner swaps. Maybe make some homemade cauliflower nuggets baked in the oven, offer apple slices with almond butter, or make a batch of energy balls with dates, nuts, and seeds. Reducing everyone's sugar intake has huge benefits for dental health and stable energy, not just for the adults.
Good point. Now, what about plateaus? What if someone's doing everything right, but around day 8 or 9, their energy dips or weight loss stalls? What should they adjust?
That's often a signal to check two things: hydration and electrolytes, especially if you've increased your physical activity because you're feeling better. When you cut out processed foods, you often dramatically reduce your sodium intake without realizing it.
Because UPFs are loaded with salt.
Exactly. So sometimes adding just a small pinch of high-quality sea salt or pink Himalayan salt to your water, or sipping on some natural electrolyte sources like unsweetened coconut water in moderation can make a big difference in energy levels.
And tracking.
And always remember the importance of tracking, especially if you hit a plateau. Track your food intake, yes, but also track your sleep quality, your mood, your energy levels. This data helps you pinpoint what might be causing the stall and also provides valuable insights for when you start reintroducing foods after the 14 days. You'll learn your body's unique responses.
Makes sense. Okay, finally, the big picture. The focus has to shift beyond just these 14 days. The challenge is the reset button. But the real goal is long-term integration, right? Making this stick for 2026 and beyond.
That's the ultimate goal. The shift needs to be away from that all or nothing, on a diet, off a diet mentality towards consistency and sustainability.
So not perfection.
Definitely not perfection. You've just proven to yourself that you can achieve a significant systemic reset in just 2 weeks. That knowledge is powerful. Now, the goal is often moving towards something like an 80-20 approach.
80% clean, 20% flexibility.
Something like that. 80% of the time, you prioritize whole, unprocessed foods. 20% of the time, you allow for some flexibility for social situations, or maybe a favorite treat enjoyed consciously without guilt. Focus on integrating clean eating as your weekly baseline. Perfection is the enemy of long-term progress. If you have an off-plan meal at lunch, the very next meal is your immediate opportunity to get right back on track. No derailment, no guilt spiral, just consistency.
That feels much more sustainable long-term.
Yeah.
Okay, let's wrap this up. Time for the outro. Let's quickly recap the most compelling, really actionable findings from this deep dive. The things we want you, the listener, to carry forward.
Okay. For me, number one has to be that NIH landmark study finding. Remember, people eating the ultra-processed diet automatically consumed 500 more calories per day without even realizing it.
Just because the food itself was engineered to make them overeat.
Exactly. Switching to whole foods can lead to almost effortless weight loss initially, simply because you're turning off those powerful chemical addiction and overconsumption signals built into UPFs.
And the speed of the internal changes.
The speed is remarkable. By day 8, you've likely achieved a significant systemic reset. Key inflammation markers like CRP can drop by up to 25%. You're reaping major cognitive and mood benefits from breaking that sugar addiction cycle. You can literally move from metabolic dependency towards genuine vitality in just 2 weeks.
It really demonstrates the body's incredible ability to heal when given the right conditions.
It really does.
So here's a final thought for you to chew on, pardon the pun, as you finish this deep dive with us. Think about this. How much of the food environment surrounding you, looking ahead to 2026, is really engineered purely for short-term ease? for convenience, but potentially at the direct expense of your long-term metabolic health.
Yeah, that's a powerful question.
And based on the clear, rapid physiological changes we've discussed today, shown by this 14-day blueprint, what intentional steps can you take, maybe starting today, maybe tomorrow, to consciously use food not just as fuel, but as a tool for healing, for prioritizing your own long-term health and vitality over that constant lure of short-term convenience?
Thank you so much for joining us on this exploration today, digging into clean eating and really metabolic empowerment. We truly hope you feel equipped, maybe motivated to make some intentional changes, changes that can last far beyond these initial 14 days and well into the future.